At this point, I think we're all aware of the tragic accident that happened with Balin Miller in Yosemite. His haul bag got stuck. He was at the top of the climb. He rappelled down and unfortunately rappelled off the end of his rope. Fred Beckey, the climber who lived to his 90s and climbed constantly, said at a event once that if there was one thing he wanted people to remember from that event was to always tie knots in the end of your rope. Now, I don't want to pretend in any way that I'm perfect. I rappelled off the end of my rope once. Single pitch, offset rope. I was guiding at the time. I wrapped off the end of my rope, maybe 6 feet off the ground. I had moved the rope over from one anchor to the other, wrapped off, and fractured my pelvis. Why? Because I didn't tie knots in the end of the rope. Could have been way worse. It could have been like Balin Miller. So I do not want anybody to be like, oh, I'm better than that, what have you. It can happen to anybody. You can make a mistake. Things happen. Some people are worried that if they don't tie knots into the end of their rope, that the rope will get stuck in the wind or in cracks or something. Legitimate. Go ahead and tie a figure eight at the ends of your rope separately on each end and clip them to your harness. Toss the rest off. And then when you're low enough, you can unclip those. In all cases, this will keep you from wrapping off the end of your rope. I think it's a really good practice. There might be reasons not to tie knots in the end of your rope, but your standard operating procedure should always be to tie knots in the end and then to make an active decision not to tie knots in the end, as opposed to the other way around, making an active decision to tie knots in the end of the rope. Anyway, this is really sad, and I really hope not to see more of these things. So please, spread the word. Tie knots in the end of your rope, whether it's wrapping or belaying. Lowering somebody off the end of the rope is just as bad.